Hey guys, Jose Rodriguez here again. In my last video that I did covering the Qimage unclogging feature, I had set it up and showed you guys how to do everything you need to do to set up the scheduling. And it's been now a couple of weeks that I have been using it. I'll go ahead and open up the utility, and up in the upper right hand corner there is a little icon that looks kind of like a clock. That's my scheduler, and it's scheduled to be start printing at 9 o'clock tonight, which is about 3 minutes from now. Now let me quickly go ahead and show you what I have done to set this up, and I'll go over to the schedule. Excuse me that I'm holding this by hand, but I have all of my printers scheduled to print at 9 p.m. and today is the 7th, and I'll go ahead and cancel out because I don't want to have to redo everything. And this is on. It is on when it is blue, as you can see. So now it's just a matter of waiting, and I'm not going to keep you waiting. I'm just going to walk over to the print room. There's about 2 minutes left. Let me walk on over to the back room. I had the color balance set for my monitor. I'll go ahead and set it back to okay. I now have it set to some sort of neutral setting. Doesn't really matter for this. So you can see all my printers are ready to go. They have paper. The trays are open, except for this one. I'll go ahead and open it. Everything has paper ready to go. Trays are open and all set to receive the printouts. Now let's go back to the computer. And as you can hear, the first printer just kicked in. It is 9 o'clock. I don't know if you'll be able to hear my chiming clock upstairs chiming 9 o'clock. So all of the printers are going to be opened up one at a time, and they will all begin to start printing. And it's as simple as that. I don't even have to be in the room. As long as everything is set up, I will exercise my printer. And that's the important thing. It says exercising your printer. A lot of you want to leave your printers unused for weeks and then complain about them becoming clogged. You have to exercise your printer. In other words, that means you have to print something, and there's nothing better than this little unclogging pattern that the software creates, because it is very unique. And Mike from Qimage, the author of Qimage, can explain it to you a lot better than I can. And that one of them here, it says that I don't have paper loaded properly, so I will go check that and see what the problem is. Yep, it's this one here. I'll go ahead and press the button, and it should be fine. And now it loaded properly. It's fine now. Everything is printing. You might be able to hear every printer happily printing. Now this one of my, there you go, you saw it just kick on just by chance. I happened to be right on top of it. It was sleeping, and it just received the signal to receive this job. Now, of course I could run, nozzle checks, but this is actually better. A nozzle check doesn't really properly exercise your printer. And here is the first one that's finished. This is a 1900. A nozzle check does not really, it's just, little tiny spurts. What it does do is that it does individually fire each nozzle, and that's good. But what you really need to do in most cases to keep your printer from clogging up on you, especially if you're going to leave them unattended for weeks at a time, is to set up the schedule and have it print this type of pattern. And this pattern, like I said, is unique. It contains wide bars, narrow bars, pixel wide bars. It actually, it's so unique in its nature that it actually does a better job than just a plain nozzle check. And so far, like I said, I've been doing this now a couple of weeks and nothing is clogged. I have been printing actual images to a lot of my printers, and without having to worry about running a nozzle check before I commit to an expensive sheet of paper. This is my little 1100 Workforce 1100 that I use for all my document printing. Basically, it's just a tricolor printer with two pigment blacks. Everything else is for photo printing. The only one that I'm not running one on is this special 1400, the Stylus Photo 1400 that I just use for gloss prints or luster prints that I print on pigment printers. I run them through this printer and I put an overcoat of gloss optimizer. And that's basically it. So you can see a lot of the printers have already finished the job. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't get any easier. I'm by nature very lazy, and for me to, you know, manually exercise all these printers every Friday or whatever the, you know, the schedule might be, it's almost beyond my ability. So although I preach and I preach and I preach that you need to print on your printers, you need to print on your printers over and over and over, sometimes I just don't. If I don't have work to print, I just don't print. So by doing this little print every 3 or 4 days, all my printers are kept in perfect working order. This is my Pro 9500 Mark II Canon. Here's my Pro 100. And that one, you can see it's flashing. So it's receiving the spooling for that particular print. And now, all of these color graphs or bar patterns are specifically to the colors of inks that the printer has. So this particular printer, of course, not only does it have MCYK, but it also has red and green. The R2000 and R1900s utilize orange and red. So those patterns include orange and red bars. And you do this on the initial setup. During the initial setup, you actually create your custom pattern. It makes no sense to send a complete pattern to a printer that does not have those particular inks. So what I do now is I collect them all and staple them together, and I put them away, and I save just a few, you know, maybe a week's worth or 2 weeks worth, and the rest I just recycle. And you know, this is, of course, I'm wasting some very cheap bond paper. This is stuff that I bought for, I think it was like $1.99 at my local micro center for a ream, and it's using very little ink. Actually, even though it looks like it might use a lot of ink, it really does not. It really does not. Okay, let me walk over to the computer. All of the jobs should be finished, and the screen should show all jobs as finished. And it's got 2 more jobs going here. And as they finish, they just disappear and you're done. Now the only catch is you need to leave Qimage open. So I just minimize it. I leave it, you know, minimized down here. And there it is. And that's all you have to do. It's so simple. It's hard to believe that you can actually do this. But this will ensure that your printers basically will never clog on you. Of course, you can have a clog for other reasons, such as a cart that doesn't feed correctly. You might have air in the line or something to that effect. But as far as clogs due to negligence, no, they won't happen anymore, because I'm exercising my printers on a regular basis now. And here is my other 2200 happily finishing up the job. Okay, so until next time, happy printing and bye bye.